Do you enjoy watching your favorite War Thunder YouTubers hit insane reversals in their dogfights but then somehow fail horribly whenever you try it? If so, you aren't alone. This is something that I too sucked very badly at up until recently, but being the tryhard that I am, I forced myself to keep attempting this tactic until I finally got good at it. This process was made more difficult due to the fact that I didn't really find there were many resources out there that went into detail about how to better accomplish this. But no longer, because today I'm going to share all the secrets I've learned about hitting reversals so that hopefully my subscribers can all suck just a little bit less.
Just do it!
First off, let's talk theory. In air combat, there's something known as a control zone. You can think of this as basically a sweet spot on an enemy's 6 where you have enough time and distance to react to any changes in speed and direction they might make. I'll use this clip to demonstrate. In this case, you can see that I'm holding right around 0.3 kilometers behind this guy, and regardless of his maneuvering and his air brake drop that comes right before I overcome my terrible aim and actually hit him, he's unable to do anything about my presence on his 6. Do keep in mind though, the exact distance will be different depending on what aircraft you and the enemy are flying. So basically, the most fundamental facet of hitting a successful reversal is making sure someone isn't able to park themselves in your control zone, and if they do, shaking them off through one method or another. How exactly you manage this can vary from situation to situation and honestly requires a lot of reading into your opponent, so I'll show you a couple of examples starting with an easy one and getting progressively more advanced. This first example begins with me having potato situational awareness and not noticing the dot on the minimap right behind me until I eventually turn around and notice this F4S. Even though this is the attack variant of the Mirage 2000 that I'm flying, this thing can still fly literal circles around the F4, so I'm just going to turn hard, rapidly decelerate, and then change the axis of my turn to pull out of the way of his shot here. To recap, the reason I was successful here is, even though he started in a favorable position, I was able to dump my speed far faster than he was able to, and once he overshot my control zone, I then changed the axis of my turn faster than he could react. In fairness though, this was absolutely not a fair fight, as the Mirage 2000, even the attack variants, are some of the best 1v1 dueling aircraft in the entire game, and so the Phantom is absolutely not a fair matchup. So next, let's look at a bit of a more difficult example. In this clip, I'm flying the Hunter F-58, and I'm going to have a J-7D come out of orbit to try and kill me. What I can immediately tell is that he's coming in way too hot, and while under normal circumstances he might be able to outturn me, he's definitely not going to be able to do that at this speed. In fact, when he gets close, I notice that his burner is still on, so I'm not even going to bother air braking. I'm just going to keep turning and pulling and let nature take its course. There are a few lessons you should take away from this example. First, even if an opponent is flying a more maneuverable airframe than you, this may not hold true if they are coming in on you too hot, so don't rely on just dumping all of your speed to try and force them to overshoot, because you may be able to do that just by turning gently, as I did here. On the flip side, if you're the one diving on someone, you need to be decisive with what you do. You either need to fully commit or break off and run away if it looks like you're going to overshoot, because if you don't decide one way or the other, you're probably going to die. Now, while those first two examples centered around me forcing the enemy to overshoot, with this last example, we're going to look at what to do in the worst case scenario in which an enemy actually manages to park themselves in your control zone. So in this fight, I'm flying the Saab 105, and I'm going to be dealing with this Sabre right over here, which I don't initially see due to me having tunnel vision. There's a bit of irony in this matchup in that the Saab has inferior speed and maneuverability to the Sabre while having superior roll rate, whereas usually it's the Sabre that finds itself in this exact same position while fighting against the MiG-15. I want you to notice how I don't pop that air brake until he's clearly well overshot my control zone. If you do that prematurely, you're not going to force an overshoot, rather they're just going to see what you're doing and kill you even more easily. You need to make sure that they don't know what you're doing until it's too late for them to react. Let's go into a bit more detail about why what I did just there ended up working. The first and most important thing you'll notice me doing is changing the axis of my turn. While he may be able to outturn us, he does not appear to be able to read minds, so if I keep making sure to roll and erratically change directions, it's going to increase the likelihood that he gets frustrated and makes a mistake. I also want to again emphasize that I'm not trying to slow down until he overshoots my control zone. As they say, speed is armor, and most important for us, it increases how far out of the way of his shots we get by changing direction. When possible, as a general rule, you want to try and turn in such a way that you guys are belly to belly, with him having to turn all the way over in an attempt to keep up with you. I'm not going to lie to you guys, there are definitely some cases where it's not going to be possible to come out alive in this sort of situation, but I hope this video has showed you it's not a lost cause. I hope you guys got something useful out of this video, and if you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and check out more ARB content linked in the playlist below. I'll see you guys in the next one.